Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our 60th weekly call. Hello, Deutschland. I am Jen McEwen, your host. And looks like we've got a pretty packed week this week in terms of guests. I'll bring up your familiar faces first. Christopher and Jesse. Good.
Hey.
Hello. How's everyone doing today?
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Hello. Hey.
Where else? What else? How do you say evening again?
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend, if it's evening for you all. And I don't know who it would still be Guten Morgen for. Hey, I just realized GM, Guten Morgen too, that works. So
I like Nachlein Bitte. That's my favorite phrase.
It is, sir, it is 10:30 in the morning.
It's 10:30 in the morning somewhere. That's what I say every time I get a beer. I mean,
I don't know if that works out. I don't know if it works that way. Anyway, so guys, it looks like we've got a lot of folks here today. And I want to bring them all. Well, we'll bring on Tristan in a little bit, but I'm very excited to have our fourth UpRocker on this stream. You had Reika a couple weeks ago, and this week we get Sir Raz.
Nice.
Which you're on the. I'm going to bring him on. Raz, are you ready?
Yeah, bring Raz on.
Ready? Come right on up, man. Oh, let me do it this way. What's up,
there
Sir
you
Raz?
go. Hey.
You know, when I was looking at this slide at first, I was like, why is Raz the only one whose image isn't like an NFT or something like that? And then what I realized is like just that picture of Raz, like it looks like an NFT. It looks like something that somebody would have bought as an NFT. It's super cool.
Guess what? I couldn't find my DePIN as NFT because it's staked, so I just left it there.
Oh, I remember this, Raz. This band. What does that say again? Did it say samurai? What is it?
It says samurai. Yeah, I bought it from Japan.
Raz is an
when
NFT.
I was in Japan.
When you were in Japan, Raz is our NFT. And the country weeks kicked off while Raz was in Japan.
Precisely, yeah. I doubled my earnings while I was in Japan. So.
And then shortly after it was Turkey. Oh well. Anyway, so
wherever I go, I announce that country. So
yes. I like this plan.
I think that's very smart. Raz,
hey guys, looks
yes.
good. A lot of people around the world again, as always. Great to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Okay, so how was your guys' before we get into everything? How was your guys' week? How was your weekend? Well, I guess Thursday. How was your week and weekend?
Well, guys, to everyone, this week is normally very expensive for us because it's 3 of our founders' birthdays.
Oh,
it's Chris, Jen, and Tim. I stopped buying gifts a while ago because of that. But yeah, happy birthday!
That's why you stopped buying gifts, huh? Nice.
They're all packed in 1 week. It's impossible. So Tim's on the 1st, Jen's on the 2nd, Chris is on the 4th. It's all 1 week.
4th of July.
So it's just a lot of food buying, a lot of cakes, a lot of gifts, and now we reduce it down to just I'll buy you dinner. Yeah. Happy birthday to you guys. Chris is tomorrow, but technically it's now for you, right? It's July 4th for you.
No, a couple more hours. Yeah. It's only 8:30.
Okay, yeah. And Jen was yesterday, and Tim's on the 1st. So yeah, that's pretty.
Me and everything. Yes, geez.
Wait, happy birthday, Jen.
Thank you.
This is why it's important that Jesse says these things. He says them, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, happy birthday. It's still the 2nd somewhere, right? I was just gonna wait until the last hour to wish you happy birthday or something.
I actually woke up with extra white hair, and I'm just noticing it. I'm sure it's always been there, but I'm just noticing it, and I can actually see it on the stream. And this is what happens. You just like you wake up one year like after your birthday. My back hurts a little bit more. I'm actually noticing it more now. So I told Roz in the before the stream started, I'm gonna go for the Rogue X-Men Rogue look. I'm just hoping that starts up.
That's cool look.
I don't know how to break this to you. The gray doesn't all come in one stripe. It just gets sprinkled throughout. That's why I got ahead of it, and I just got rid of all my hair before it turned gray. Problem solved.
Problem solved. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. Maybe I don't know if I'm gonna try your trick though, Chris. I'll pass out on that one. I'll try the white hair route, and you try the other route.
Yeah, got a bunch of happy birthdays.
Oh,
Nice.
thanks everybody for the happy birthday wishes for and for Christopher too. He's it's coming
Thank
up.
you. Oh yes, thank you
Tomorrow.
everyone.
Yep,
Thank you.
Cool.
We try to answer every question, so I'm just going to answer one real quick because somebody said it. How do I withdraw? You go into the app or you log into the website and you go to the wallet section and then you click withdraw. It's just that easy.
That's easy.
That's all there is to it.
Guys, by the way, we're gonna answer some questions towards the end as well. We'll answer them as they come in as well. But if we don't get yours, we do also try to do a Q&A towards the end of the stream. So if you don't hear yours come up, just ask it again because sometimes we miss it. And if you are on Discord now, I'm just logging in now. So put your questions in there and we'll get through them as well. All right. Yep. So shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Let's get rolling.
Let's get rolling. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. All right, so guys, so you can see here we obviously Hallo Deutschland, so you know what our country week is this week, and then we have a very special guest from said country, Tristan, and we'll bring him on in just a moment. But a quick recap of the agenda today. So we've got Germany week. We got Tristan from decenspace and Superteam Germany or Deutschland. Tokenized stocks on Solana. Sir Roz was on panel last week in Istanbul for talking about DePIN and big tech. So he'll give us a recap of the Istanbul blockchain week and that what they were talking about on stage. Christopher is going to give us a bit of his few of his pennies for his thoughts on Cloudflare and scraping. Got some product. I know my mouth is just like not fast enough for my head right now, my brain right now. And some product updates, and then we're out of here. Oh, and then Q&A, and then we're out of here. Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's get rolling.
Go.
This week, country week is Germany, and what this basically means is if you are in Germany, physically in Germany, and you have the UpRock app on your little phone, and you are earning for this week, double your earnings. So from started on June 30th, it's over on July 7th. You don't got to do much. You just got to be in Germany and you got to be earning, and then you'll just double your double what you got.
Double your earnings.
Double your earnings. This started I think now it's 14 weeks ago. It kicked off when Sir Roz was in Japan. He had this wonderful idea. Let's
India first. First, it was India.
It was India when you guys were in India, I think.
Yeah. You are right. I'm sorry. I was about Japan was second. Yeah. So anyway, so started in India, Bengaluru, when Jesse was in Bengaluru. But anyway, we highlight a new country every week and our wonderful contributors in those countries. And just as a big thank you for helping power the largest mobile DePIN on Solana. We help you double your earnings there, where we ask you to check in and you just double your earnings. So if anyone in the chat knows some fun German phrases that you should know.
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. And ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch means I can speak a bit Deutsch.
A little bit.
Bisschen,
like a little bite.
Ein bisschen, yeah. Yeah, was ist los? It's a common phrase. You just say whenever you see a friend, was ist los? What else? I don't know.
Was ist los?
Yeah.
Well,
no, I only speak German when I'm drunk in Germany. I think I speak German when I'm drunk. It's just like every language. I think I speak Turkish when I'm
after
drunk
5 pints.
You're fluent. You're fluent in each language when you're drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Super fluent.
Either that or I rely on the friendliness of drunk strangers to sort of gently shepherd me back to somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know who we should be asking, actually?
He's our next guest.
Yes, he's actually in Germany. He's in Berlin. So let's bring up Tristan, guys. I mean, why are we asking ourselves? That's the guy who speaks it. All right, Tristan, I'm going to bring you up right now. Tristan, what's up, man?
Hey.
What's up?
Good to see you.
How's it going?
Great.
How's it going running a whole company with a bunch of cancers? How is that going?
Well,
they spread. It spreads. That's all I can say.
If you guys are into astrology or anything, Sometimes you just cry a lot.
I'm not into this whole astronomy thing, but
not astronomy.
But also, like Jesse, you and Diana are like the opposite sign from me, Jen, and Tim, right, or something like it. I don't know any of this stuff.
He's a saggy, hairy ass. Sagittarius.
Well, that goes without saying.
So apparently, yeah, I'm looking up Grok right now. You guys are apparently very intuitive but highly emotional.
That's
like the opposite.
I'm actually only pulling out the worst things here. Moody, insecure, overly sensitive.
What do you mean by this, Jesse? What the hell?
Exactly.
Don't make me come in.
Yeah.
And so, Jesse, when you read yours, you're only going to read the positive ones.
Yeah, right. Sagittarius.
Yeah. No, that's what he was reading, the positive ones. Moody, insecure.
Yeah. Sagittarius are super hardworking. Like, we like perfectionists. Our worst trait is like we just super responsible, work hard. It just drives everyone crazy how good you are, you know? We got like tone down. That's our sign. But anyway, great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Really cool.
Yeah. So oh, go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, we'll go ahead. Go ahead.
So I just thought we kind of passed through the slide a little bit. Maybe it's just introduction of Tristan, your company. You're also with Superteam, so maybe you can just talk about your company a little bit, how you got into crypto, and also what you do with Superteam. That'd be really awesome to hear.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so I'm a founder of a company called decenspace, and so what we do is we are building a decentralized marketplace for ground segment services. And so what that is these are the antennas on the ground that are doing all of the communication with spaceships that are going and orbiting the Earth. And so, yeah, really there's this issue with both price, access, enhancing connectivity, where satellite companies do struggle to find like really good, affordable options for ground stations. And as we continue to commercialize space, we need to make ground stations a lot more accessible for a lot of the startups that are doing things in space. And so that's what we're really focused on. And we're really focused on connecting a lot of underutilized assets that exist and really connecting those with the satellites that need to be using it to get data down. So that's what we're really focused on, what we're working on at decenspace. It's really awesome. There's a lot of challenges, but it's very it's very rewarding. We just came off yesterday with like an announcement that we won the Solana, the Coliseum hackathon. So we're very proud about that. Well, won the first place in the DePIN track. So that's
nice.
That's
rocking.
And yeah, we're
Congrats, buddy.
We're going into the summer pretty strong. We have some exciting additional news that we locked in yesterday that I'm excited to. I can't share right now, but I'm excited to share it very soon. But a pretty big support and partnership coming up. And yeah, no, it's been really cool. Really exciting to take DePIN and find this really cool space application for it. We're working.
How'd you get into that?
Really working together with. What's up?
How did you get into that space?
Yeah. So I was actually in space to begin with. So I did research, like some NASA sponsored research in the US. So I was on the space materials side. So I did really materials engineering. And then I wanted to make money because researchers actually don't make a lot of money. And so I went into, unfortunately. So I went into financial technology and did software on that side. Ended up managing a team, built a team from the ground up at a fintech company. And then I decided that I needed to get back into space because that's really what my life is geared towards and dedicated towards. And so that's I started working on a satellite simulator, and then I ended up coming across this issue with the ground stations, and that's what I've been focusing on. And of course, I've really been into Web3 crypto side for a while. But really what got me into the like Web3 in general was actually these supply chain applications. So I watched, I think it was on Vice News or something. There was an article, or not an article, there was a video short about some supply chain tracking of animals. I want to say it was in Taiwan or something. And they were tracking the basically kind of like all the steps in the life of the animal to when it's delivered to your dinner table. So I thought this was really interesting. Like they were just tracking it all on chain. So every event, like where like it was going through like some type of major change, it would be tracked on chain. get a vaccine that's tracked on chain. So it's like this was, I think, 2020, 2021. And that's what really got me actually into like going hardcore into crypto. Of course, I was aware of it before, but I think these kinds of real world applications are really what got me excited about the technology. So that's what got me really excited about like DePIN, that this has been like taking off and really working with, you know, really all the possibilities of how we create a connected economy. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
So
congrats, man, winning that thing yesterday. Sorry, Jen. I was just saying congrats on the Coliseum, because there's a ton of people into that contest, right? It was like they got there's so many applicants. So congrats on that.
It was over 1,400.
1,400,
that's a lot. Yeah, really huge congrats. So it's a global network of ground stations, yes. And how do the users get? What does that look like? How does the user get, you know, started on being like a listening post here? Are they do they have their own like? Yeah, how does that work for the user? If you want to just set up, new user want to join and be part of your DePIN.
Yeah, so the main thing is having an antenna. So we're orchestrating across every level of antennas. So from the amateur level that you can just set up, that anybody can set up for a relatively low cost, to the most expensive, nicest ground stations that can exist. So what we're working on is having a platform like Airbnb for ground stations that is a single place where you can coordinate across all of these assets on the ground. And we can plug in the correct communications requirements based on the satellite mission. So the first step is having a antenna. And I think even on like the hobby side, there's some really great ways that you can get plugged in there. There's 2 open source communities that do these like open ground stations that I'd highly recommend if people are interested in like RF and joining them. There's SatNogs and TinyGS. Both of them are pretty awesome. I think TinyGS focuses on LoRa, and then like SatNogs, I think most of the stations end up being like ultra high frequency, very high frequency range. But that's what I'd recommend people start with. We're building out the network right now, and we're looking to bring in any of the antennas that are capable of doing communication.
What's fascinating about this to me, so Jen, you may not know this, Amazon even has a service where you can like rent base stations per hour. It's like wild, because you would think that this is like so specialized, like literally NASA has these, and like, you know, that's like the level 1 expectation. But the reality is it turns out there's a ton of commercial space flight, and there's a ton of, you know, a lot of satellites and other things. There's a ton of different payloads or like different users on the physical spacecraft. Tristan, you know more about this than I do, obviously, but so correct me if I say something dumb. And so each of them is potentially, it's their problem to figure out that connectivity. And, you know, in a kind of weird way, if you've got something that's really far away, it's really hard to talk to, but it's okay because you can see it from a lot of places. And that's the dish where NASA does build a massive installation in the desert in Australia, or in the desert in, you know, Arizona or whatever. So you talk to something that's, you know, orbiting Saturn or something. But if you've actually got something in low Earth orbit, it's not visible from that much of the Earth very often. And you need to have a lot more bandwidth to it. And you don't want to spend $1 billion building a dedicated base station just to talk to it. So it's like actually kind of shocking, but there's like a big demand for this.
Yeah. Oh, so Tristan and folks viewing, you may not know, but Christopher is before he became a degen, he was an astrophysicist. And
well, no, I was still a degenerate then.
Anymore, right?
I just
you still are.
Yeah, not so much anymore. But yeah, just like you, Tristan, I was super fascinated by like the mathy side of blockchain. Like I'm sure probably like you know, like, hey, what's this whole Bitcoin thing? And like, oh, math is cool, and like, haha, this is hilarious. And that's like, you know, many years ago now. And then who would have thunk that it would turn into what it has?
Yeah. So you guys both, like, so Tristan, for you got into blockchain for the like the mathematics part. It wasn't so much with like a lot of us. It's I guess there's many reasons why we all get into this space, but it wasn't so much like the trading and the meme tokens or anything. It was the mathematics or the technology that was the main appeal to you.
I would say that and the economics. So I mean, I think if I could do my university again, I did physics, and that was like my main thing. But I would probably do like a double in physics and economics, because I also think that's super interesting. I actually met somebody. There's somebody. I don't know if they won. I can check real quick. I think they were an honorable mention. They're another German team. Also, shout out to all the German teams that won into the hackathon. But there's one called Motto Finance, and their founder also did physics and economics. And I thought that was like, it's like, okay, that's pretty sick combination. And yeah, so for me, it's like, on the one hand, I think just the technology is really interesting. And especially, I think decentralization is something that we have to move towards, just because we can't really put our trust into centralized bodies, especially just the way that the world's going with like AI and things changing. Like, how can we trust things? And I don't think you can trust things from one central body. You have to have some level of decentralization in your systems just to be able to prove that you can trust something. So I think that this is like one really key element that draws me into it. And I think the other element is just like that idea that you can create a parallel financial system that's not necessarily controlled by a few really large companies or governments or people, but it's something that obviously we're a long way away from it, but it's something that gives people a lot more power over their finances, over their like abilities to advance in the world. And so those kind of idealistic, I guess, reasons also really draw me into the blockchain side of things.
I find what you just said fascinating, because I, physicist as well, and my impression a lot of economics in the past was always that, it was sort of also I think it's a fascinating topic, but that it tended to be dominated in a lot of cases by people who were more like, economics and social science of some kind, which is to say, without insulting those people too much, kind of wishy-washy when it comes to the math side of things in a lot of cases. And what's fascinating is I think you've seen both with like the rise of quants on Wall Street, and then definitely with the rise of blockchain, a lot more of the people who are like physics and math on one side plus economics, because all of a sudden, like in the blockchain, the actual physics and math of it, it's not just theoretical. It's not like just, well, maybe what would happen in the economy if we did this. The actual physics and math is part of the economy of this economy that's being built on the blockchain. So you have to like really know both parts of it. You can't ignore either one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's and it requires, I think, a lot of work. And I think this is like one of the things that also gets me exciting is like, there is a lot of opportunities for anybody who wants to be working on these problems. Like, there is a lot of problems that need to be resolved. There's a lot of challenges, like just in blockchain, just in building like these decentralized tools to make the world work. So I think it's a very interesting space, and I think there's tons of opportunities for anybody listening. I think that I highly encourage people to dedicate themselves towards the things that they want to do and the things that give you the most happiness and feed your passion. But especially if that's like leaning into the like math, economics, even focusing on some of these social sides, like we have a lot of like interesting social challenges, I think, in the future ahead of us, with AI coming to be so dominant, and looking into how like we globally can interact with decentralized systems. I think these are challenges that require pretty much every field of expertise to take on. So yeah, it's super cool area, I think, to be in.
Yeah. And speaking of areas to be in, so you are part of Superteam Germany, or Deutschland. How is
Superteam Germany?
I'm sorry?
You can just say Superteam Germany. That's all good.
All right. So you're Superteam Germany. You are in Berlin, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've been there for a hot minute. And so tell us, what is it like over there? Superteam is so great everywhere they are in the world, but how is it specifically in Germany? How is the sentiment in Germany with the blockchain and crypto, Web3, everything, and the like building? What's going on over there? Tell us about it.
Gosh, there's a really great community here. I can speak definitely in Berlin. There's a huge community, but I mean, super teams all over Germany. We have like, I think, regular events for sure in Berlin and in Munich. And then also we've got like a lot of events at other places. Like I know part of the super team is in Aachen. And yeah, they do different events all over Germany all the time. I think the focus is like most in Berlin. Like there's a pretty large community here. Not just with Solana, but also with all the blockchains. And so I think it's a really unique place. There's a lot of really cool projects putting out really, really cool projects, just kind of all over the scene. Like there's a stablecoin. There's this one stablecoin project. I think they just got approved. I think I saw something on LinkedIn about it. Can't remember their name off the top of my head right now, but German-based, Berlin-based, and I think they have like one of the first MiCA-compliant EU Germany regulated approved stable coins. So I think that's really awesome, really huge progress there. There's a ton of teams. I think that one from the hackathon, I can like, and DePIN alone, there was two. There's an energy one called Novengrid. So I think that they're building something super cool. On the stablecoin side, there's Xelio, and they're also Berlin-based, and they're working on SMS payments. So I think they're like really focused in like the African market right now, actually. But they were developing this this project just around SMS payments, which I think is super cool. The first place in the DeFi track was also a German company called Vanish Trade, and so there's tons of builders here. It's a really cool community to be a part of. Like even like the energy at the build station, like during the Coliseum hackathon, was like super high. I think the Superteam Germany does like a really good job of trying to like coordinate the community, build it up, and they're super focused on pushing startups as well. So it's like if you're a startup in Germany, you get a ton of support from the Super Team, which is really cool. And for me, I'm mainly focused on the DePIN side. So we do some DePIN events, like we'll do DePIN dinners. Like I have a DePIN Unplugged podcast that I do. It's pretty early on, but we'll have you on. We'll talk about UpRock on it.
Nice.
Yeah. We should do it in person and have the beta together.
Oh, actually, yes. Please come here in person because now we have a podcast studio in the office. So
nice. Oh, definitely.
I would love to do it.
That'd be great.
Actually. Yeah.
I won't show with all, you know, like every week I try to wear something to homage for the country of the week. I don't have anything for Germany. I have that one outfit, the Dirndl.
Yeah.
Dirndl, yeah.
And I promise though, I won't show up to your podcast wearing that. I'm not normal clothes.
We can do an Oktoberfest edition. We can record it.
We used to go there
in advance.
Yeah. That's a good.
Before I had kids, we went to München every year for Oktoberfest. Which was because I like beer and I like schnitzel and I like Munich. I mean, I like Germany in general.
What else do you need?
Honestly, it's one of the most fun. It's actually, I didn't realize we used to go a lot, and I didn't realize how much of it's also a big family event. It's a big fair, and a lot of singing. Like it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's a great place, and it doesn't surprise me at all that there's a great community. Like just great atmosphere there, and it doesn't surprise me at all. There's a great community that translates further into the Web3 space, and it sounds like there's just an awesome place to be if you're building, if you want to be in Web3, if you want to be in DePIN. I mean, would you say like there was already, you said at least 3 of the winners on this hackathon or at this event were German teams.
So two first place winners, and then there was so the 1st and 5th in DePIN, the 4th place in stablecoins, 1st place in DeFi, and there were 2 other honorable mentions, which were both really cool projects. So it's definitely a cool community. There's lots of people doing a lot of I'm really bullish on a lot of the projects coming out of here, I would say.
Nice.
All right. I want an ambassador from Germany, then I can promote your project across socials.
Yes, we need an ambassador, folks. So Raz, talking about we have our country ambassadors. Yeah. Anyone on the short list for Germany, Raz?
Well, I asked Tristan to help me out, so hopefully.
Yeah.
I've been ghosting Raz, so
you're not German. The only German we have here.
What you need to do, Raz, is you need to set a deadline.
We have here is Jesse. Set a deadline.
You need to set a deadline, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have a deadline. There's the time. I have to get it done by then. Yeah.
So you need to be precise, like DePIN, like
very precise. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so folks, if you want to give Tristan a follow on X, and I highly recommend you do, here you go. Space Tris. X.com.
Thank you so much for having me.
Space Tris. And your company, decenspace. So I believe it's just it's X.com decenspace, right?
Decenspace. Yeah.
Decenspace. Here we go. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Cool. This is guys, seriously, huge congratulations on
super cool project.
That is super cool project. Yeah. Quick question: how many are how many? Actually, I did want to ask you this. Not a quick question. Sorry. A couple of them. How many are in your team? how long have you been working on this? And what's you won the hackathon. What's your 5-year? Let's say 1 year.
5-year plan. All right. So yeah.
What's next steps for you after the
winning?
Yeah.
Next steps. Okay. Yeah. So right now we're a team of 4. Started. I actually had this idea at the end of the last hackathon. Like right after that hackathon ended, I actually was doing a side project with somebody on my team, their company, and then like that's actually kind of what connected the dots. Because like I said earlier, like I was working on the satellite simulator, and then I worked on this project, and I was like, okay, well, this data is because they have an AI company that was using geospatial data, and so I was like, okay, well, this is really interesting. This way that this whole supply chain of how we get data from space. So you have satellites in space, they're producing data of like different types of, they have different types of sensors and cameras that are like observing the Earth. And then you get the data from space, and then you apply that into Earth applications that you then sell as products to people, perhaps to Google Maps, perhaps to people looking at identifying hurricanes or oil spills or tree deforestation, or you name it. Like there's so many applications for space data. So yeah, I was just looking at the supply chain, and like when I was looking at this communication segment, that's where I got really inspired. And so yeah, so I came up with the idea. It was like maybe 2 weeks after the radar hackathon ended, and I was like, damn, that was such a good idea. I wish I had it before the hackathon. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait to develop this until the next hackathon, and then when that starts, I am going to do this, because I was like, this is a really cool idea. And so I actually took the time to start validating the idea. So I went to like these space conferences, started talking to ground station companies, talked to satellite companies to like really understand what the real problems were. Because like I mentioned, like I was doing materials engineering when I was doing research. So it was not communications. I think when you do physics, so you get a good fundamental and everything. So I think you have as we see with Chris, the propensity to understand a lot of things really quickly. But basically from there, yeah, we started building. I started building a team up. So we had a few different people. A lot of people were interested, and I think this core team that worked on the hackathon, like we produced a really cool product. We produced basically the user interface that you want to interact to register satellites and ground stations and connect them together. And then from there, we won. So it's like super exciting. We have, like I said, some really exciting announcements coming up that are going to feed into the summer plans, but we've got some really cool, solid partnerships. We're building through an actual test. So we're going to be using satellites and ground stations, mainly in Europe, looking at some in Africa as well, that are going to be doing some of our first network testing. And then from there, we're working on building to our pilot program. So we'll be launching on the testnet, Solana testnet, ideally by the end of Q1 2026. And then from there, going into the 5-year plan, there's this really bigger push. So just to paint the giant picture, I believe that we need to build decentralized space infrastructure, and we need to build a community-powered space economy. And what I mean by that is that I think anybody, no matter where you are in the world, should be able to participate in the space economy, because it's not just a big government, it's not just a big company thing, it's something that everybody needs to be able to participate in. And I think that blockchain and decentralization really provides an opportunity for everybody to have a say or have a piece of participating in space. So if you want to participate in space, the barrier of doing that should be very, very low. Whether it means like real world assets of like co-owning satellites or ground stations, or being able to use your phone or set up a small antenna and be able to detect, say, even radio frequencies of interference, or producing or helping to like facilitate communications with satellites. I think all of these things are super accessible and super within reach, and that's what we're focused at DecenSpace over the next 5 years, of building a lot of these decentralized tools in an easy to access way that everybody can participate in space with. So that's the 5-year plan. That's the vision.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
so when you say antennas, like for the 5-year plan, everyone having participation, or the opportunity for participation and access to it, does that mean also providing? Do you have any plans like providing your own antennas, or for users to like building yourself, or is it something that they can make themselves super easily to access this?
So so essentially what we're focusing on right now is building the hardware that's going to be able to be the most impactful right away. And we're focused on lowering the cost, because to even have really impactful, like even if we're talking about not thinking about regulations at all, receive only stations, because one thing is when you're transmitting data up, that is very heavily regulated. But even when we're thinking about just receive only stations, there is, I think, a lot of emerging technology that will be super useful that we can definitely commercialize and make it accessible to everybody to use. Right now, a lot of that, I think, some really interesting technologies are with phased array antennas. So these are like what you see from like Starlink, for example. Those are phased array antennas, but you couldn't use your Starlink because it's a user terminal. So there's a difference between terminals and ground stations. So without doing a super technical deep dive, basically terminals are what you use for the internet, not for talking to the satellite. And then the ground station is what you use to talk to the satellite, but you don't use it necessarily for getting internet. So that's like the main difference between those two.
Yeah, it sounds like there's, for people who want to get started in this, like, hobbyists, there's a lot of things that are available, accessible, if you know where to look and you know what kind of questions to ask. And so the big step for making this available, accessible to everybody is just explaining it, education and pointing folks in the right direction. So that's going to be super exciting. And I am looking forward to where we're going in the next 5 years, or where specifically you guys are going, and how we can, all participate in this new space race, or maybe not so much a race, but we're all doing it together.
There's also we have an overlapping community called DPioneers. It's a DePIN DAO. And it's just it's a NFT based thing. But so if you're bullish on DePIN, you get the NFT, and we support projects we love. That's basically simple as that. And so one of the things we just announced in that group is to actually start getting more into devices, like doing unboxings, talk about it, and learn more about the details, and then share with the community and just do some content around it. So I think like on a later date, it'd be really cool for you to do something like that. Just actually have here's what gets started. Here's a device. Have one of those community members actually buy one, and work through how to set one up and get involved with you guys.
Yeah, I think that sounds amazing.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll ping you afterwards.
Oh, so Tristan, actually, you do have one question. Is there a wiki or an FAQ on your project on Decen? Where can folks find out more about Decen?
So you can go to our website. It's a pretty plain page right now as far as what's publicly available. I think as far as the wiki FAQ, we have one that we're working on right now. It's going to be posted very, very shortly. We'll have it public. And then we'll have also in the next 3 months, we just started a new project to do kind of a full scale website versus just the landing page. So please follow us. We'll be rolling out a lot of new exciting both updates, exciting pieces of the website, wiki FAQ. All of this will be rolled out over the next 3 months, actually. So
cool.
Great. Yeah. Great. Well, you are going to hit the ground running, which you already have since last year, but congratulations again on winning Coliseum and the hackathon. And folks, okay, go to x.com/decenspace or decenspace.com and follow Tristan, Space Tris on X. And thank you so much for having us, Tristan, Thank you for letting us host you. Gosh, my brain is not here.
We get it.
Thank you so much for coming here today, Tristan. There you go. Hamster's on the wheel now. Really appreciate having you here and hearing all about decenspace.
Cool. Yeah, same. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Amazing to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
man.
We'll see you online.
I'll see you in Germany at one of your events for sure.
For sure. Everyone say hi.
Yeah.
Tristan.
Hi.
Yeah.
All right. Gosh, that was great. That was like super interesting stuff. I ran into Tristan in Dubai.
Yeah.
And well, actually, Tim met him. Anyway, really engaging, really fun, cool stuff. So really happy to have him on today, folks. I mean, that was really cool. So I think this is definitely one to pay attention to. This is definitely a project to pay attention to, and really looking forward to maybe Roz gets what he wants. We get a new ambassador out of Tristan. What do you think, Roz? You can make it happen.
Actually, he'd be great for DPioneers too. So that's cool. We should definitely have that conversation after.
Hey,
and the Superteam is great. So one of us has to attend one of his events.
I want a native German, so he's not German.
Well, anyway, we can still go to the events. And Roz, you and Christopher, you guys are close enough. I mean, maybe you guys go to one of these podcasts. Go hang out in Germany and in Berlin.
In Berlin.
Yeah, you guys are definitely the closest.
I like Berlin. That's Berlin's a cool city.
Crazy nightlife. Berlin is amazing.
So you're cooler than I am. I don't get into cool places. They don't even, you know how people go like, oh, you get to the front of the line and then the bouncer decides whether you get in or not. I get kicked out at the back of the line. The bouncer at the back of the line is like, no, you're not even cool enough to get in. Like, no, we don't want the picture of the line to get in here to have you, right? Like, because they want the line to be full of cool people, and I'm not going for that.
There's a club called Kit Kat. You need to dress up like weird. I don't know. I don't know how much weird you can get, but it's not easy. Like really not easy to get in.
The customers have to dress up like cats, or the staff?
No, weird. It's German.
Weird,
German.
super weird.
Berlin. If we can circle around on this. We're not German. I mean, there are clubs where like there are these like legendary bouncers where you, in order to get into these clubs, you have to just like have the look. There's no definition of what the look is. Like, billionaires have been turned away at the door because they don't just like have the look. So anyway, I was making a joke about not even getting into the line to get kicked out of the place.
Face control, shoe control, outfit control, and then just you control. you control. Just your outfit, just everything about you just sucks.
Did I tell you when? Did I tell you one time there was this place? I wasn't even like trying to get in. I was just out with some people. This wasn't in Berlin. This was another European capital. Anyway, this place that was supposed to be a rooftop that was super cool, and I was with some other people, and they rolled up one time, and the bouncer's like, no, you can't come in flip flops. And I'm like, come on, it's the middle of the goddamn summer, and I'm out, and I'm drunk. And no flip flops. Okay, fine. So a couple of weeks later, I'm out with them again, and like blah blah blah, and I remembered. So I put on a pair of shoes, a really nice pair of sneakers, a stupidly expensive pair of sneakers. The only time I ever bought an expensive pair of sneakers was this pair of sneakers, but they were cool, I think. I mean, I assume so. Anyway, I'm golden, right? Like I'm wearing shoes. They said shoes, I'm wearing shoes. So we show up at like 1 a.m. They're like, no, man, leather shoes. You have to be wearing leather shoes.
Leather shoes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
Like, are you kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding? Anyway. Okay, fine. Everybody go have a nice night. I'm going to go smoke a cigar and walk home slowly along the river and think about goddamn Europe, where you can't just wear your fancy flip-flops wherever you go. So what I did, I was back in the States. I found a pair of red leather Converse All-Stars. And I bought them. And if you guys don't know what those are, they're essentially basketball shoes, but they were made out of bright red leather. So a few weeks after that, I went out with them and I showed up wearing those and shorts. And the bouncers were like, no. And I said, you said leather shoes. They're leather. Look, you can check them out. Eventually, like the head bouncer was like, all right, fine, just fucking go in.
It's just easier to let you in than just deal with you at the door.
I mean, I'm gonna keep pushing on this until you do. So anyway, so I got in red leather Converse All-Stars, and then I felt extremely out of place because clearly those were not the right shoes.
Yeah. Well,
I remember those shoes when you were like,
you saw those shoes.
Like, what do you think of these shoes? I'm like, that's a statement.
Yeah. I said what statement? I don't remember what you said, but it wasn't good.
I never knew the backstory. I finally understood why you bought it. I was like, why? What the hell? Yeah, now I know the backstory. It makes way more sense.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Chandan said, happy to see you here, but Chandan says he mistakenly attended a Gothic party. I mean, that'll be a trip. Can you imagine walking in accidentally to a Gothic party and you're like bright neon and hey guys, here's the party. LMFAO playing.
I thought this was synthwave, not goth. Damn it! Really, the wrong party.
All right, guys, let's get back to it. Here we go. All right. Speaking about
40 minutes.
Clubs.
We still didn't begin.
Say what, Russ?
It's been 40 minutes and we still didn't even begin. Okay.
Oh. Sorry, Ross. It's just that you're here, even though you're not. Ross is waiting because we're gonna have Ross talk about stuff at Istanbul Blockchain Week, and we just want to have him here, so we're keeping it long, so you get to see his wonderful, handsome face a lot longer. You're welcome, world. Anyway, so trading live on Solana. Roz, you want to? How about this, Roz? Why don't you tell us about this?
I just saw it on X and edit here, so I didn't even trade. I'm planning to. I can try. I want to try.
Anyway, so trading. Yes.
So in a nutshell, the idea is this: Jupiter has worked with one or more custody companies, banks in some sense of the word, to actually take certain real-world stocks in the United States, companies like Tesla and others, and actually make them tradable on the blockchain. So that in theory, if you're buying some of these particular tokens, you're actually buying a representative interest. You hear people talk about real world assets all the time. Well, this is a very straightforward form of that. It's a much more easily tradable form of a share of stock, which is super cool. Now, I do want to say the lawyers would, since we added this slide, the lawyers would want me to say, nothing we ever say is financial advice, but this is definitely extra special, not financial advice. Do your own research. These might not be legal in your jurisdiction. Trading shares like this on the blockchain might not even be legal. But anyway, it's also happening, and we just think it's really cool as a sort of an example of the real world asset thing really gaining some momentum. And congrats to the Jupiter team for making this happen, because they clearly seem to think that they've done the legal and compliance work to make this happen. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally make a ton of money on a fart coin and then swap it for Tesla. No,
I saw that too. Yeah.
Oh wow, I mean, that's actually a thing. So, but yeah, it's cool. Anytime you make things more liquid, easier, and permissionless, the better it is. I think. Just generally. Yeah.
Well,
I think before you move on from that, I want to say something. There's a joke there about Fartcoin trading for Tesla. Something there about being gas powered, and somebody roll that over, Drew. I hope you're on it. I think you're gonna get a
Drew. Yeah, Drew. We need you working on a Fartcoin to Tesla gas powered joke or something like that. So
yeah, good one, Jen.
Thank you.
Right. So yeah, I think we just wanted to share that news. So I think the main point there is we're helping to onboard a lot of people to Solana, and so Solana whole foundation and the ecosystem is really cooking, and it's where all the users are, and it's growing the fastest, and it's the infrastructure of the future for a lot of people who are building online. So it's just cool to see stuff like this, because it makes us as people as the founders or companies, as we chose Solana. And so whenever we see stuff like this, it feels good too that we chose the right chain a long time ago.
Place our bets. Yep. All right. Well, let's talk about DePIN and big tech, which is what Sir Ross talked about last week when he was on stage at the Istanbul Blockchain Week. And I don't know if anyone caught it. I mean, I caught some of this video. I mean, it's in Turkish. A lot of it the video was in Turkish. I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, Ross, but I told you, I understood in this video, this interview you had here, I understood in Turkish a little bit, which was, thank you, good morning. And after that, I was like, I don't know anything else. I mean, I know what you're talking about because we talk about it, but I couldn't translate it. So why don't you tell us, and also particularly me, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't translate it. So tell me, how was the event? And what's the highlight of what you talked about on stage here?
Sure. Before we dive in, guys, this is the 60th weekly call.
Mm-hmm.
This is huge. I mean, I scan the whole entire crypto daily, and I can tell you, I don't think any project did this before. I know Jupiter did their 50th yesterday, but 60th weekly call, that's huge. So
wait, are you serious? We're the ones that are doing it the longest, that you found so far?
I guess so, yeah. So
oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought the planetary. Oh, because they do theirs. They're not every week, are they?
Yeah, they stopped for a while, so we continued, and past them. So shout out to you guys and the whole community.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. Toast to us, the community, everybody here, everybody in the chat, everybody listening, everyone who has listened, and everyone who will listen.
I recommend, you know, when we first did it, we were nervous, like, oh man, can we actually pull this off and have something to say every week? But I'm glad it pushed ourselves, because it really is a really great forcing function for our entire team to like have something to share and make sure we ship weekly and break things down so that we can actually do something every week. And it's a great way to build a distribution channel. Founder-led marketing is where it's at. And you only get better at it if you continue to do it consistently. So yeah. So we appreciate everyone always showing up every week. It inspires us. So yeah, I didn't realize we were already at that number. That's awesome.
And Jan's thinking a batch for those who joins the live stream every week. So you can expect a special batch for that.
Okay, well,
so
yeah,
what
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time now, and I'm very proud. You know, Ross is really working every week. He always he puts everything together. He's often everyone's first point of contact, first face of UpRock. I mean, and oh, come on, man, you're so.
It's Jesse. Come on.
You're on the community. Maybe they don't actually see your face because you're online, right? You're on Discord, you're on X, you're on Telegram, everywhere.
I take credit when Jesse doesn't. You know that.
Here you go. Roz is the best UpRocker of all time. Let's go.
Yeah, he's Sir Roz.
Shandan.
And now you're going on. You do a lot of stuff around in Istanbul, but now you most recently did this main stage at Istanbul Blockchain Week. I love how this looks, by the way, like all that red. It actually looks like an F1, like especially this interview right here. It looks like you're doing an F1 event interview. And I'm waiting for the cars to like whiz by, and the energy in that room, even though I couldn't understand it because it was in Turkish, it sounded like great energy. So tell us about the event. Tell us, what do you guys talk about?
Yeah. My first note, crypto people here don't wake up early. Those keynotes had empty seats, but the afternoons were packed.
Yeah.
Well, plenty of calls, VCs, layer ones, central exchanges, they were all there, present and active. I think Sui stole the spotlight, no doubt there. Yep. And especially their side events, there were like nearly 1,000 people. And in the second hour, half were drunk, that I can confirm. On my end, it was a super productive event. Many follow-ups in motion. Talk to local central exchanges for listing. Plenty B2B collabs on the horizon and more. So a lot to unpack post-event. That's that girl next to me, haberler.com. Okay, they get like 5 million views on a daily basis. They are on YouTube and other socials as well. Yeah. And I think they made it a headliner. Shorts. I said shorts and jackets should meet at shirt and talk in depth. Because remember, Chris was wearing shorts. Jesse is always wearing shorts. But Web2 people still, coming with their jackets. So we should meet somewhere in the middle, but so because Web3 has to stop talking only to Web3, otherwise we cannot move forward, right? So that was my highlight at that interview.
Cool.
And what else at the panel? My simple answer to that question, crowd versus big tech. Well, simply in a nutshell, whatever, you cannot beat the crowd, right? And after that, I always give that example that Sean Carey mentioned in one of the interviews on YouTube. Well, you can start a server on AWS and try to crawl the data on Amazon Marketplace, but they blocked you like instantly, like super fast, right? So with UpRock, you can deploy millions of devices and scrape the data and get it and turn it into a data set or something. They cannot block you because it's coming from a consumer's phone. So that example, I think, was received well. And I emphasized it as our secret sauce. Chris can tell more on the upcoming slide, but again, that's what we are trying to deliver, but it only works if there's a community behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another question was about onboarding, DePINs versus meme coins. So I mentioned UJS because onboarding via DePINs will last longer.
Yeah,
but with meme coins, I think it's already over, man.
It does. Meme coins are rough because you really have to like, it's gambling. So you cannot do more than you want to lose, and a lot of people get burned, and then they don't want crypto ever again. So there is some merit to what you're saying. I would say I have fun with them, but DePIN is a better experience because you feel like you're. I don't know. I think both are. Some meme coin communities are pretty. I think people enjoy them because they're really community based. They're based around some art or content, and they actually just do fun parties. I totally understand why that's attractive too. But
I do agree on that. But 99% of memes will fail. But in our case, I think 50% of DePINs will fail.
Oh, that's your prediction? That's
my prediction, but
yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's reasonable. Those numbers are broadly in line with what you see with the more traditional tech sector. So that's not out of line at all. And I mean, memes have their moment, and some of them build community. But I think if you look at a meme, to try to put it in the best possible light, it's maybe more akin to starting a Facebook group or an Instagram group. A tiny number of all the Facebook groups or Instagram groups that ever got started, or WhatsApp groups that ever got started, are like super thriving social communities and blah blah blah. Most of them exist for just a moment and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's putting the best possible light on memes. But I think that's true. Most of them will be very ephemeral. They'll be here and gone. But
but you say it out loud. You curse. It's a curse. It's like one of those things. You just don't say it out loud. You say break a leg. Don't not good luck. Break a leg. But I think you're probably right. I mean, that's just how it goes. Any type of business, any type of project. I mean, anyone who started their own thing, tried their own project or their own startup. It's not always every single success.
Honestly, we're like cockroaches. We've never actually ever given up on any business. To start our first rodeo, literally every single company we've ever started, we've either have successfully exited or done something well with. This is the first time that has grown the fastest on all of them, and we're still growing. That's why it just blows my mind how fast this grew compared to the other companies we've done that are all successful. But a lot of them took a while to start too, all of them. And you have to like chew glass, as they say, because otherwise you will give up. Most of that 50% is probably giving up because they gave up too early. Just don't do what it takes. That's the hard part about starting something. But that is not in our personality. Yeah. We did not give up ever. That is not how we do.
Yeah. So we still onboard 20,000 people like every week. I shared this like whoever I contact to, and especially the central exchanges, the local ones. They were really interested because I don't think ever any project can onboard 20,000 people without any ads, right? So that was nice. And last question was about tokenomics. It wasn't directed to me, but I had to jump in because I couldn't resist because we have a lovely tokenomics design. So I shared about that too, and that was it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. How was that received? As we lovingly call it, our Tokenomics for our teammate Tufi.
Yeah. Tufi, Chris, I did contribute a bit. So the tokenomics design of UpRock was really solid. So
yeah, you guys did a great job with that. Yeah, I think it's like very special and unique. Why don't you give us a quick recap of how that works, like just for folks who aren't aware of our tokenomics? I almost said Tokenomics. I actually said Tokenomics, but our Tokenomics. Why don't you give us a quick recap for folks who are listening may not know?
Chris is our economist. So
sure. So absolutely. So in a nutshell, we've run marketplace businesses before, business where you have both, like end users and business users. And the challenge with those is usually, in a lot of those, one side of that is a big cost center, and the other one is typically where you get your revenue from. And then that means that incentives aren't aligned. And so what we've done with our tokenomics is very much aligned incentives. So our community members earn by contributing to our network, and our business users 40% of all of the revenue that comes in from the business users, and I should actually specify at least 40% in circumstances, it's more than that, is plowed back into the network to reward our users. And so by doing it that way, what that means is we have this virtuous cycle, and some of the rest of our revenue goes into buyback and burn efforts, meaning that and that's a key mechanism for how we reward our users. So what that means is every month, and in fact, if you go to uprock.com/tokenomics and look right now, you will see our most recent burns, and you'll see a history of that. But what we're doing is every single day, we are taking that revenue, and we are already making revenue. So and that's the great thing about UpRock, because Jesse mentioned it earlier. You talk about, you never quit and you never give up. When we first started it, we were super laser focused on just the B2B tasks, just things like crawling and uptime and whatever, which we have delivered and are continuing to deliver on. But along the way, as we were talking to people, we heard a lot of people saying to us, hey, I want more earning opportunities. What are other ways we can earn? And then in the meantime, we met some game companies and others, and we said, hey, we should try it out. And so now there's revenue coming in. For instance, when you guys play a game and you're getting rewarded with UPT, some of the revenue from that game company goes directly to the UPT that goes to you. But some of it goes to buyback and burn, which improves, in theory, the value of UPT for the entire community by reducing the supply. So it's a really tight tokenomics that we very much believe in, because we limited the amount that was pre-sold or sold to others. We started the public pricing at the same pricing as the pre-sale people, so there wasn't a big gap there, and we have actually executed on and implemented and are continuing to implement every single day our buyback and burn, and it just, the more you guys interact, the better it gets. So the more we find more games in more regions for people to play, that's great. That's more revenue. That leads to more buyback and burn. Surveys, funnily enough, because of the whole, some of these providers, they don't pay us right away, and we have to wait for their invoice, and then we have to wait for the performance, send them an in, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I think, now don't quote me on this, knock on wood, but I think that July will be the first month where we actually have survey revenue contributing to the buyback and burn, because it's about a 2-month lag between when we launch a product like that and when the money actually shows up and we can use it. So I think I have to go check with the relevant people, but I think that this month we should have some of the buyback and burn revenue coming from surveys, in fact.
Oh, great. You know what that we should do too is let's do that at the same time. Let's talk about which one of our Rocketeers, maybe it was Spaceman. Spaceman, if you're in here, you had some interesting stats. Maybe we could suggested we talk about some stats with the survey. So let's do that around that time. We have some we're due for game stats and now survey stats. So let's do that.
Jen, I'm gonna do a quick screen share real quick too, because
go ahead.
And on the site, just speaking of, let's see if you can see it. Okay.
Okay, Jesse, just remember, you close one and then you open UpRock.
There you go. Boom. All right. Cool. All right. So there's a couple of changes to the site, guys. The site needs some TLC. The lobby page is now called Discover, and we're going to continue to update this as well. By the way, we've had tens of thousands of people apply for the AI rocket, which is awesome, because we're working on our crawler product, and we're really excited that we had a ton of people sign up for that. But some of the UI stuff looks better. So if you take a look at the wallet, just the wallet UI is a lot cleaner. It looks better on desktop browser. And then you have a nice place where you call out staking here. Games, we have a provider called Greedy Games that's on iOS and Android, but that's coming on browser too, because people do there are options of playing and doing offers from a browser that you don't need to have. You don't have to download an app. And then of course we have shopping, and then surveys are also coming to the web. And some of these surveys are like, look at these rewards. They're actually pretty awesome. Only like less than 5 or 10 minutes, you actually earn a pretty good amount of UPT, which is pretty cool.
I mean, there's a 7-minute survey for 126 UPT. Has no ratings though, so that one might be a little sus. But like the next one is like 4 minutes for 60, almost 60, and that one has good ratings. So
these are pretty good. So this is coming. Sometimes this could be, so you have your options. So if you're on your laptop or if you're on a phone, you just have better options. We do get a lot of good traffic on the web, and just more ways for people to interact in. And like I said, every time you do one of these surveys, not only are you earning, but the revenue we get, we apply it right back to the token. So we buy back and burns every time you do this. So this just helps the whole ecosystem out. And we're going to provide more ways to earn. You always have your passive tasks, the earn rate, and we're going to do more to make that better too with the Rocket Booster program. We were going to actually show you some screenshots today, but we thought it'd be not quite ready. I think maybe next week we'll show you actually the Rocket Booster program that directly impacts the earn rate. But these are active tasks. People always want more ways to earn, not just like leave the app open.
And I mean, the other thing to the point Roz made about shorts versus suits, and Jesse and I both know how to rock a suit. There's a picture floating around of the two of us in Tokyo years ago. Good, Japan style meetings. Actually, Jen was there too. But one of the great things is like when UpRock makes revenue, when our community makes revenue, for instance, from the surveys, that's revenue that's coming from Web 2 companies. So it's not just money that's filtering around inside the crypto ecosystem. In a lot of cases, it's new money to the crypto ecosystem. It's not just that it's adding value to the UpRock ecosystem, but it's actually moving a portion of the global economy, a tiny portion, but nonetheless a portion of the global economy from the traditional finance onto the crypto space via UpRock.
Yeah. More is coming. More is coming.
And more is coming. We're working on this every day. In fact, I've got some updates coming up in a little bit. To that end, given that we're already over time,
let's do it.
Wow, I hadn't seen. Okay, you guys surprised me with this slide. I don't know where you guys got that screenshot, but it's awesome.
Chris versus Cloudflare CSO.
So what's going on? As a quick recap, so
Cloudflare, he looks like such a goober in that picture.
We did him dirty. Yeah, we did him dirty.
Because you're mad.
I know. That's why that screenshot's awesome.
So they're blocking AI bots from scraping content by default. Is that what they announced? Yesterday, 2 days ago. See? Okay. So I know you have thoughts. You tell us.
Yeah, I have a couple.
You have a plan.
My first thought is probably going to be a little bit controversial, but my first thought is essentially this is a nothing burger announcement. And what I mean by that is Cloudflare has already had bot blocking. Anybody who actually had any kind of a bot problem probably turned it on. I mean, in a number of scenarios, as far as I know, in a number of scenarios, it would even like turn itself on or semi-turn itself on or whatever. Yeah. So it seems like the big announcement here is, and props to them, but somebody on their marketing team went out and said like, hey, what if we just like say it's on by default? And somebody else was like, somebody more like me was probably like, well, that's a tough question because sometimes it turns itself on. So is it even? And they're like, no, we just say it's on by default. And then like maybe change up the UI a little bit to look like more on by default. And then we tell the press about it. And then, there's so much breathless angst over AI right now that they did a freaking awesome marketing campaign around this. Just so like props to them. Good marketing campaign. But in terms of how that actually affects the internet, or UpRock or anything, it's a nothing burger. Because let's be honest, I mean, Cloudflare's already had the captchas and turnstile and bot blocking and a variety of other things. The other part of this that's interesting is they've talked about enabling, and now see, part of this was sort of concrete, which was like maybe changing up the UI a little bit and making a big news out of it. And part of it is more around the whole concept of like, well, allowing to pay for people to access web pages and so on and so forth. And what's interesting about that is that drives right to the heart of the whole Web 2 versus Web 3 thing, because we have talked to multiple people who are building that on Web 3. And I don't know if any of them are going to succeed, but I do know that if they do succeed, website owners are already really not necessarily loving Cloudflare. And I think Cloudflare very quickly went from being a sort of scrappy startup that people liked because they provided a DDoS service to being a huge gatekeeper. It's like a tax you have to pay, essentially, because its competitors are few. And because it has such a central, unfortunately, such a central place on the internet. And so, I mean, you're seeing this, for instance, Cloudflare, they for instance knowingly host stuff that's definitely just nothing but pure piracy. And here we're not talking about like different ideas about research or whatever. We're talking about just straight up ripped off football streams in Spain. Well, then and they host it on the same IP addresses where they host critical infrastructure and essentially say, okay, take it all down. Now look, I'm all for copyright maximalism or minimalism or whatever the hell you want to call it, but Cloudflare aren't the good guys here. They haven't been the good guys for half a decade. So that's why we have the UpRock community. That's why we have the power of the masses. And frankly, I totally support, especially for content creators and stuff like that, if they want to, and when there is a workable system where they can say, hey, okay, if you're going to crawl this or if you're going to include it in AI training data or whatever, you should pay a small fee. Crypto is going to enable that. It's going to enable it in a way that no centralized technology has ever been able to do. I mean, I was with a conference in like San Francisco with at least one of you a decade ago or more. A decade ago was only 2015, more than a decade ago, where somebody was talking about like micropayments for news, right? Because micropayments were the big thing then, and it never materialized. And the reason it never materialized is because there wasn't a system that was workable, that was easy enough, because Patron is the closest that anything has gotten to that, and it's okay, but it ain't anything like what Web3 can enable. And so the other thing is, because I've been getting a lot of questions about this in regards to UpRock. It's like, okay, let's say that a site does charge for accessing its content. You still need the devices to actually load it and parse it and do something with it. Just because the user decided to charge for it doesn't magically make it available to AI agents or to training data sets or to models or to the kind of data sets we're building or to uptime monitoring or anything else. So, so I meing, that's essentially kind of my take on the Cloudflare thing. Is first, they pulled a great marketing stunt by ginning up some press around this when not really much happened. And secondly, when it comes to the whole charging for content thing, I think it's going to be really challenging for a lot of publishers because they already feel, I think, that they have no choice, because Cloudflare, I won't say it's quite a protection racket, but hey, nice website you have there. Would be a shame if it disappeared off the web, right? So people don't like paying Cloudflare already. And if I'm a publisher and they go, oh, well, you have to be charged for your content, but don't worry, we'll take a cut of that to make it happen. I'm going to throw down my hat and go, hell no, I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to do it on the blockchain. I'll do it with goddamn Stripe if I had to use a Web 2 company, but I ain't giving you guys that much more power. I think everybody sees how that worked out with Google and Facebook. And not a lot of people are dumb enough to go for round 3.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like, I mean, if they're going to keep it on by default, and then people, if they want to scrape, and then basically they're troll under the bridge. They're the troll that requires a toll under the bridge. Like, so you want to go to this site or you want to, get some content, you're going to have to pay us first, and then we'll allow it. So in that way, it is smart, but they're essentially, that's what they're doing. And they're
and part of the reason they're doing it, this was always one of the criticisms and always one of the things about them, and they did a good job of convincing the community for a long time, but I think we're seeing the real colors now. It was me sitting here in this office, I'm paying for an internet connection here, and somewhere else the software we're using to stream this is paying for an internet connection in their data center. So at the very damn least, that should be both ends of it. But what Cloudflare has done is they have built themselves to a size where a lot of traffic going across the internet has to cross their network. And now, looky, they're starting to find a way to charge for the traffic. Even though I'm paying for this internet connection and the streaming software is paying for their internet connection. Well, wouldn't it be great if Cloudflare could charge for their connection too, as long as it's somewhere along the way? And so I think you're starting to see that kind of a rent-seeking behavior and a capture. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I didn't even know I felt so strongly about Cloudflare until we started talking about this. But actually,
Yeah, you're like, I don't. You're so surprised with the slide, but you know what? You had that one in the chamber.
Oh no, I mean, I knew the slide was in here because we talked about it. I just didn't know the picture you guys were going to use.
Oh, I see.
A placeholder earlier.
Yeah, also we're talking about how like the search engines are going to give way to AI. That's how you're going to discover things. We're going to be using more and more AI instead of search. It means SEO as we know it. It's going to have to change. Maybe you don't want certain content that you make to be crawled and used for training, but you definitely want to be like, this is how you'll be discovered eventually. Like you need AI to know you're there, so you get.
Don't be wrong. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the publishers who are, waving their arms and toes around about how awful this, that, and the other thing is, are equally as wrong, maybe more so. I mean, look at, I'm thinking about countries. Wasn't it Canada or somewhere like that tried to pass some news thing where like Google couldn't even link to news articles? Like, guys, no, the number of people who are coming to your website every day to see what news articles you've published is effectively zero, right? The whole, if I'm publishing stuff, I want people to follow links to it. I want as many people as possible to follow links to it.
Yes.
But it's like none of this made any sense. It's like some deluded belief that like, oh, if you prevent people from linking to your content, then users won't use search engines. They'll just direct type your website in every day. And the answer is no, they won't. It's foolish. So but thankfully Web3 solves a lot of this. And the interesting thing about it is, I had to talk with somebody about this the other day, and they're like, well, how is Web3 different than Web 2? Why do I want to read my news on the blockchain? And I said, you don't want to read your news on the blockchain. That's not what the blockchain is for. The blockchain is for exactly this kind of thing. You want to be able to pay somebody 10 cents for the news, or you want to be, honestly, probably much more likely, you want to be part of a subscription or a community where, by having the NFT or by having the token or the gateway or whatever, you can access from a variety of publishers and things like that. Or you want to get rewarded for sharing your idle internet, or you want to do these tests or whatever. Actually, sending a JPEG image that accompanies a news article, that works great on Web 2. Web 2 is really good at that, and we don't need to change that. I mean, maybe in a few contexts we can make it better with Web3, but we don't have to tear down and break everything that works great to add new technologies on top of it. Right? Like right now, we're doing this live stream using WebRTC over a TCP connection, probably maybe UDP. And none of those protocols or fundamental internet technologies have to change. They become part of Web3. Web3 is built on those. It makes them more useful, but it doesn't throw them away. We're not redesigning any of this.
It's an iteration. It's the next step. It's evolving. Okay. Well, I think that's. I'm sorry, Ross.
I just said thanks, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Yeah, thanks for the 2 cents. Or as Sasha, I think, just put it, another sensei moment. Sensei moments with Chris. He might need to borrow your headband, Roz, from Japan when he has he just puts it on. Sensei moment.
I've actually got my own somewhere.
Good.
Probably in this office.
Good. You need to wear that next time. So whenever you're going to put it on, we'll have the sensei moment with Chris. We'll have that as a segment. And
now it's just his moment. Go, Jess.
Powered by Prism. Oh yeah, that's right. We got Jesse. We got a lot to talk. Jesus, we're so late. Jesse, get talking.
Well, we actually one thing you guys are not seeing it on the client side yet, but we made a ton of progress on that. So we have 3 products on Prism. We have one called Swarm, which is like cybersecurity tests. Those actually are happening now. So yay. So if that's team listening, it's great to see those come through. We're still working on it, but that's made big progress past week. Last week, we actually had people ask us what you could do to help with uptime. And so and we're already kind of way over. So we should do actually properly a real slide of like, here's a checklist of what you can do. But I mean, very quickly, first of all, one is just give it a shot. If you haven't even tried or created your same UpRock account works for this one. So go to prism.uprock.com, use it, share it. A big thing you can do is, especially if you are familiar with uptime tools, is to say why, do actual content explaining like why this is a superior product, why a DePIN powered network can actually provide you more coverage, more eyes on your digital infrastructure better than a server can. And so doing screenshots of the UI even, and like, oh, this is awesome, making comments about it. Maybe even follow, if you're really excited to promote it, then follow other companies that are talking about uptime on X and just be a reply guy and say, hey, if you like that, you might want to check out these companies too. And check out UpRock, and then just put the link in. So that would be great. If you haven't done it yet, create a status page for your own website. It's super easy. You can do it under like a couple minutes. Very, very soon. We were hoping this week, but I don't know, we're so close. Like just custom domains will come out. When that happens, you should definitely do that next. And that also helps provide link juice. You got to publish it somewhere. So I'd say put it on your website and say, here's our uptime service powered by UpRock. And that actually helps create organic traffic to a community. The more accounts or more people see our version of uptime, the more people who sign up, more people who pay for it. Again, all the revenue from our B2B business goes to buy back the burn UPT. So this is why it's a big deal. So organic traffic is amazing. I will do some call to actions next week with how you can actually provide real reviews that will impact that traffic from B2B review sites like g2.com. And so I think what we'll do is we'll walk through exactly what looks like a good review. We want it to be organic, but it's pretty easy. But I just want to make sure you guys, give you some tips and advice on what's a good review, and if you've never done that before. So I think that's maybe the main things on those is like the Swarm product is coming on great. Crawler, I don't know, we have nothing to talk about on the show today, but we want to do a really proper crawl talk because I think we've come up we got to a really it's evolved a lot, and how we've talked about it and what we even show you guys on the website is different than what we're building, and a little different than what we're building. And I can't wait to share more about that. So I don't know, Chris, you want to bring it up now? But
no, so I will say this: custom domains for uptime is all the infrastructure stuff is ready to go. We just need like the actual. We just need the actual form on the page where you type in the custom domain and the button that clicks save. So, but all of the infrastructure stuff is done and tested, and as those of you who work in the website of things, the hard thing about offering like a white label domain for say an uptime page is that, of course, on the modern web we have to issue you an SSL certificate, and then if we're running in multiple data centers, and Let's Encrypt might call back to one data center even though the request started in a different one, and anyway, it's all working. And I wasn't going to mention that just because
Alex this morning already mentioned. So the team is already on it this morning. Yeah, but right before the live stream. So probably be out.
I saw that he was back from a couple days off, so that's great. And then that's I wasn't going to mention anything about that. Actually, I was going to kind of save it as a surprise, like, hey, it's totally rolled out, but it's mostly totally rolled out, and they ran some big experiments with it. Over 5 gigabits, or up to 5 gigabits, which is pretty serious and pretty awesome. And then Crawl has so much stuff that's pending release, but we're actually sometimes there's weeks where it's like, okay, there was one big problem and we worked on it, and this week has been more like we actually have so much stuff that needs to go out. But it's like the order, like, okay, first we have to merge this, then we have to merge that, and then we have to like test them together to make sure, because you tested this one in isolation, tested this one, now we have to roll it out, then we have to update some systems, and then it's just been like literally just getting everything shipped has been a challenge this week. But we still got one more day this week, even though it's the 4th of July. I will probably sneak in a couple hours on the laptop, try to get one more deploy done this week.
You could say, it's my birthday. Like if, wifey's like, hey, what are you doing working on your birthday? It's my birthday. I want to deploy. It's my birthday.
I mean, it's the 4th of July. What I would like to do is deploy fireworks. But
and like literally not metaphoric fireworks. We don't want to any?
No, literal fire. No metaphorical fireworks. No server fires are allowed on my birthday. I want to be out in the street lighting firecrackers. Anyway.
All right. Well, actually, so I think let's do a couple. We have a couple of questions. These real quick. First off, we have Abraham was asking, doesn't understand how to withdraw on my wallet. If this already got answered in the chat, apologies. But we have a couple of things. You have to have a certain amount of UPT in your wallet in order to withdraw. Or if you are a I guess that's really the big one. Also, if you're thinking about withdrawing your UPT, might I suggest you stake instead? The limit to stake,
that's an option as well.
It's a lot lower, so you can you only need 100 UPT once your device is verified. If you're on Android, to start staking, and you get a return. I would suggest do something like that. But anyway, there's a limit on your withdrawals. And the way you just get to it is open the app, go to the wallet section, and there's the withdrawal.
There's a button there on the website too. It'll just say withdraw, and then it'll show a pop. It'll show like a few screens in modal, and kind of walk you through the process. So,
But I would seriously ask you to consider, staking instead. You get a return. Withdrawal, you don't get a return. You get a return, and depending on how much you stake and for how long, your APY can go all the way up to 20%. So definitely go check that out. All right, next question we have here is Onazi Sunday Ikoza is asking.
This got answered in comments, but I'll go ahead and repeat it anyway. So you should be earning. If you look, you'll see that some of the you should have like earnings and pending earnings. So 5 days ago means you're within the 7-day device verification window. Once the device verification is complete, all of the pending earnings will be transferred into the regular earning account in your wallet and in your UpRock wallet. And everything should be working fine. And there's more information about this on the website and in the Discord. But absolutely. So if you're there, if you go into the wallet, you should see some of the pending earnings there. But they won't be available until the 7-day device verification is complete.
Also, I would recommend just try this test too. In the app, when you open it, you should drag the screen down, and you'll see a speed test button. So tap that thing. The speed test is what helps us calculate the earn rate. Because if it's not actually connected, or if it's no traffic's happening, then of course you're not earning passively, because we can't even send you jobs to complete. So just make sure that actually works. You should not see any errors. The speed test should go through, and then an earn rate by hour should be calculated. If that is not being calculated, then there's something wrong already just from the beginning there, where the app is not connecting. So it could be your connection, could be your Wi-Fi. So make sure that's there first. And then if all that's there and your device is verified after the 7-day period, by the way, all new users go through this. We do this to fight scammers and bots and farmers, and that helps protect the token, protect the community. That's why we have device verification. But once you prove yourself as a human, you don't have to do anything. Just leave the app running for 7 days, then you'll start earning. And if you still have issues, then definitely submit a ticket on Discord, or you can also go to our website, and there's a little Rocket chat bot where you can submit a ticket that goes through our Zendesk system. So you can do it both ways, or just send us an email, which is at support@UpRock.
Great. All right, there's a question from Discord. We're asking, is there a buy feature in the wallet still planned for the apps?
Yeah, we will. We actually, our partner Kado, they just got acquired by a company called Swapped, and which is a little frustrating, because this happens with billing companies. This happened with us, many other startups too. One company will acquire another one, and then we lose our direct connection. So I actually submitted a ticket to Swapped 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't heard back. So I'm just working on getting an actual dev team there to answer, because there are some bugs ever since they got acquired. So Kado will be the fastest way to bring buy of UPT back without having to create a new account with another company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations to Kado for the getting acquired. But Still bummer for us, but on iron, but still, congratulations to them.
Yeah, this is annoying. We will use Stripe on Prism. Yeah, we will use Stripe on Prism, but Stripe only supports like the big ones like Solana and USDC. So that will come later. But then we could make an option. So if you buy Solana or USDC, we can make it easy for you to swap it, and we might do that. Yeah. So, but in the meantime, the fastest way for us to bring it back is just to get our new rep going at Swapped. Yeah.
Great. Yep. Spaceman asked here, device verification on desktop soon?
No. Desktop works differently. It's not that we don't have things, but there's different kinds of tasks. There's different things we do on desktop. So the whole device verification flow will not be coming to desktop anytime soon.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Here's another one from Discord. Can we track?
And sorry to cut you off, Jen, but also Spaceman, nor does it need to. So it just it's just not relevant on desktop.
Yeah.
We have different challenges on desktop and different things, and maybe one day we'll need to have some other kind of thing there. But for now, it's the reason it's not coming to desktop is what it would solve on desktop is very, very little, and for a lot of effort to implement it. So it's just not valuable on desktop.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unnecessary friction.
Next question is also from Discord. Can we track the number of US or number of mobile and PC bandwidth shares?
We had a page up. We actually had a page up that had a bunch of user stats on it, and the challenge we were having with that page was there was so much data that when you loaded it, it would just freeze, and then it would crash. And I would love to have that back, but we need to find a presentation of it that's more effective. So this is definitely something that's on the roadmap. This is a great one for Jesse to think about, actually, for the website. But like we've been doing a bunch of presentational work in Prism for displaying better maps and stuff. So maybe we can build on some of that. But that would be cool because we do generally put a lot of these stats out there, and we were sharing like a cool map page with them. But it would be great to have it back.
Great. All right, we'll do a couple more. Gray Daniels just asked about when heavy tasks like DATs or others. And so we just mentioned, Chris, you just gave an update about DATs.
So DATs is rolling. By the way, not all DATs tasks will be heavy tasks. Some of them are quite quick and efficient and will be classified as regular tasks. Others will be heavy tasks. That having been said, I know some of you have heavy tasks turned on because we ran an experiment with them just a day or two ago with some of those.
Yeah.
And I think while we're in the turn up phase here, you may not a turn up, but the turning up phase. You may or may not have gotten specific rewards for those yet. Since we're just doing experiments with these and it's like non-production, I don't know that everybody will have gotten a specific DATS reward who participated in that, but that will be one of the very next things we're testing. So if you have heavy tasks turned on, absolutely expect to start seeing some DATS rewards popping up in the next, let's say, week or so. Or, as Spaceman replied, or is off of the radar for the moment. Definitely look at bringing that back. One of the challenges we face is with some of the app stores and stuff, a lot of concern with them about a task like that that's sort of directly mining a token. Yeah. So I think or is probably, this isn't like an official, like we've made the decision and it's for sure done, but I think or is just something that we have to wait and see for a while. It's too risky to bring it back, and the rewards for it are pretty, like the total community rewards from the whole heavy task or mining thing, which by the way was awesome. We proved out, we built what was at that time the biggest mobile crypto network that had ever existed with this wonderful community doing the ore mining. But the total amount of ore we actually made from mining that wasn't that much. It was very, very little. So bringing something like surveys or games brings 100 times as much monthly revenue to the community, and that it's probably really close to 100 times, or like maybe even more than that. So or in specific
More
is
like
just.
more like
I mean, it actually probably is, yeah. Or in specific is just not that interesting. It's not going to bring you guys a bunch of revenue in it. It brings a bunch of risks for the app.
I don't know if this is. I don't want to spread the wrong news about it, but I feel like I saw a post about their Android app that they're having a tough time with mining Android too. And this is why we also paused it, because the OR team, they got funding to help make their apps. They actually got paid. They actually raised money to help make mining OR easier for a lot of people. And they were going to make these kind of really nice clients, and especially on mobile. So we're like, okay, why should we spend all our time doing this when they just got funding to do specifically that? And let's just see how they do it first, and then we can maybe help. We can just be a community group mining node, you know, because they were also building software to make even that part easy. We can have a pool that we all share in, so it doesn't matter. You can just join the pool and you can help mine OR together. I just feel like I saw a couple of posts pretty recently where they're just also having trouble on Android specifically, and that's like so much of our user base that we're like, okay, see, this is why I think it was a good call that was like, let's not spend the time on this. These guys, that's their job. Their full-time job is to, and they're getting paid to do that, solve that problem. We just want to be a pool for them once they get their, once they get their stuff.
Oh, Spaceman says OR turned off all of their money. So that shows you that I have just been focused on UpRock for the last 2 weeks. I didn't even know this. Okay.
Okay. That's why I thought I read that somewhere. I didn't want to like say something wrong, but it's like, okay, so that clearly that's like.
So just you did see this.
This is not our business. So it's like, why would we spend so much time on someone else's token? It would have been easier to say, hey, let's turn on heavy tasks and let's not make it a one-off. We do this for them when we can do it for other companies like DATS, which is why we did it in the first place, because a lot of the same code we use for DATS or is actually helpful for DATS and other companies. But then it became then all of a sudden became more than just kind of groundwork for every heavy task. It became like only for OR, very specific to them only. And then at that point, like, okay, it's not our business to just work on OR. This is becoming way more than that. We just wanted to do what we need to do for heavy tasks, which is good for future. But beyond that, let's cut it off now, because it's going to be. It sounds like we're just opening a can of worms here. So I'm glad
So we talk about this all the time. We sometimes say that this call is kind of like our weekly stand-up in public. And so let's bring out another thing we talk about on our stand-ups all the time. Jesse and I in particular talk about this back and forth a lot. One of the big challenges is focusing not just on things that work at all, right? Because a lot of times in tech, we too often frame the discussions in terms of like, this can't work or it does work. And so OR is a great example of this. It worked. We made it work. We got the algorithms to run on Android phones, and it was mining. But the sad reality was, once it was out and once we really saw how effective it was across the whole deployed user base, but coupled with the earning rates and the price of the token itself and everything else, it didn't matter. We could have had 100 times more users and it wouldn't have been an interesting amount of money. We could have had 1,000. It just, the per user earning was too low. It wasn't enough to really reward the community. And there have been other things like this, some things we've talked about, some things we haven't, where we've gone down a path and we've really had to, thanks, Drew.
Take it or leave it.
We've gone down a path and we've really had to experiment. And sometimes, I'm really fond of saying that the best way to learn is by doing in a lot of cases. And so for something like OR, we knew all along that we were going to need to run heavy tasks. And so by building out OR, we built out all the infrastructure for heavy tasks. We built in the infrastructure to allow you guys in our community to opt into heavy tasks if you wanted to. And so on. So that was all super valuable. But that specific heavy task wasn't valuable. And so one of the most important things, and probably one of the absolute hardest things as a founder, is to set aside the specific ideas that didn't work. And this is, this goes all the way back. Jesse talked about earlier about how we keep grinding on things and about how hard running a company can be and starting a company. And it's really true because on any given week, you have a ton of great ideas, especially with a team as talented as this. The whole team has a ton of great ideas. And we have to work on them. And some of them we work really, really hard on. And we make them work in the sense that they technically work. You can push the button, something happens, the light turns on. Like, at a technical level, it works. And then what we discover is that either the community doesn't adopt it in the way we thought they would, or that the money just isn't really there in the way we thought it was, or that there's some other problem with it. And those can be some of the hardest ones. But sometimes it stinks to have to retire a great design and a great piece of code that we all worked really hard on. But the realization is, if we're going to keep building for the community, we need things like any product that's not making us a couple of tens of thousands of dollars a month at least is not bringing in enough revenue to really be making the buyback and burn exciting for the community. And so given that we only have so much time and we're a pretty small team, that means that sometimes we're going to have to discontinue a product or an idea, because if we keep that product or idea, it's, in a sense, it's the opportunity cost. By running that instead of running something more valuable for the community, then we're all losing. And so we have to, sometimes we go, this was great, it was cool, it's not earning. It's not earning for all of us. And so then we, sort of sadly throw it away. And there's nothing sucks more than to throw away something you worked hard on because it just didn't earn. But that's what's going on. I mean, I give you guys another example. You guys saw we ran a couple of targeted shopping promotions on Android, and it turned out that for a variety of reasons, those just didn't bring in that much revenue for the community. What did come in, of course, putting to our buyback and burn, but they just didn't bring that in that much. And so we are really putting that on the back burner. We've gone back to some of the partners we're working with on that. We've told them, we think you should do better. Here's where the challenges were. We're not, you don't go to them and say, oh, well, it didn't work at first, so F off, guys, we're never going to do this again. But you do have to realistically go, hey, we have all these things on our plate that are making money. For instance, new game rollout. And so shopping deals are going to, not any shopping deal, those specific shopping deals, we ran several, none of them really worked. Those are going on the back burner for a while. Maybe in a few months we roll back around. We think of some great new thing, or somebody comes to us with a great deal that's just like perfect for this community, in which case we'll share it with you guys. Or maybe they just stay on the back burner. I don't know. But what I do know is that if we were spending a bunch of our time working on them this week, then we wouldn't be working on things that are way more valuable. And that would be making all of us worse off. So
well put.
Yep. Cool.
All right, well, let's do one more question, and then we're going to wrap it up. We'll call it a day, because speaking of what Christopher just said, there's some things we got to, opportunity cost, and we could ramble like that. We could chat all day, but the opportunity cost is we got to ship some stuff. So last question, let's leave it at a fun one. Here we go. Can we have a little more animation or metrics in the app from Machine King? So what metrics are you looking for? I mean, we do have what you earn today, your base rate, your best day, things like that. But if you have some ideas on other metrics you want to see. And we also have something we've been, mulling over ourselves too, but I just want to know what's important to everybody. But in terms of animation, I've been playing around a lot with some AI, and look at how happy Ross just got. There's gonna be some animation, guys. And,
what you cooking, Jen?
Well, there's so much the cool stuff now available, like with this Mid-Journey, like we can actually make animations now. And I'm so sorry for all the creators and the illustrators and animators in the world. But
it'll just unlock more power for them. If you're really good at
Studio Ghibli UpRock.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that's coming, and not just in app. I mean, these are things that we can start sharing in, like on socials or on our site or things like that, on our Telegram. It's now just kind of getting used to how to use the tools, but I love how just more accessible everything is, and so now more ways to delight in the application through animations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We're excited about it.
Well, and
it's good. It's stuff that might cost us a lot of money and take a month to actually create. We can now do it in a few days, and also not just add a bunch of animation, because that can get annoying too. It's like really be thoughtful about it. There's like a lot of little micro animations, just like Jen said. We like to make the app a little more delightful, a little more encouraging, a little more fun to engage with. And then the metrics, we show you your personal metrics, and we can show more, like Jen said, the earn rates, your daily best. But we also want to think about, this is part of a community. So as we get more customers on the Prism side, I think it would be cool to show maybe a card that just says like overall how you're helping impact making the internet better by saying like we've helped deliver a 1 million cybersecurity tasks, or we helped you guys, we actually process over 1 billion speed tests for companies. You know, that kind of stuff would be really cool to see, because all that, or we onboarded like 3 new customers for Prism. That'd be cool to show, because all that kind of action ties right back into ultimately buyback and burn, and ultimately for the token itself. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be
cool. Sharing community-wide metrics is super cool. Something we've definitely discussed. And actually talking, just circling back for a little bit. Katrin Kopernik made some comment about he does surveys. You know, it's hard that Or went away, but he's not often chosen for the surveys. This is exactly this gets exactly the point of the sort of thing I'm talking about. We know surveys are working from the regions where there are a lot of surveys available, and so just like we did with games, we are hard at work with more survey providers to get more surveys from more regions. So if you want to share in chat, feel free to tell us what country you're in, or not, it doesn't matter. But we know there's some countries where there's very few or no surveys available, and so we started with one provider to get it integrated to see how it would work, and hey, it works. So now, I mean, you guys see all these conversations, no joke. We're probably talking to at least 3 or 4, maybe as many as 6 different companies about expanding the inventory of surveys available, precisely because we know, okay, now that it works, it stinks for people where there isn't much inventory available. So this is exactly the sort of thing. And then that's going to be super useful, because we know surveys work, and we know people want them in more places, and they're disappointed when they don't get them. So don't worry, we're working on it. We're going to get you more surveys, because clearly they work for everybody, and they bring value to the community.
And doing things like, you know, we can have our own welcome survey. So we could pre-vet like we know the questions that the survey providers may want, you know, like you have to, like they're looking for people that fit these parameters. And if we can ask that ourselves, you can give that to us ahead of time. Then that can help us better deliver.
Oh, yeah.
Filter out the ones that you wouldn't qualify for anyway, right? So like you only get the ones that you don't have to like go through this whole upsetting process. Like you just kind of tell us what you need to know, and then we can deliver the right stuff to you.
So yeah, Katrin, let me add 100%. That is one of my least favorite things about the surveys, is when it asks a simple screening question like, you know, what age group are you in? Are you between like in your 20s, in your 30s, or your 40s? And then it goes, oh, sorry, we're looking for people in our 40s. God damn it, MFs. Why can't you tell me that in advance? We have been, Jesse can attest, I have been like bad cop. So Jesse and I usually play good cop, bad cop, and I'm bad cop and he's good cop. But we've been playing like bad cop and worse cop with some of the survey providers, because our point of view is these basic screening questions. We are going to bring that. Rocket is going to ask you these basic screening questions and is going to know the answer to these basic screening questions. And we are demanding that the survey providers will allow us to pre-fill those and determine if you're eligible for the survey, so you don't have to go look and see if one's available. When a good one is available, we can send you a little notification that says there's an awesome survey and you're eligible for it. Go. And so we are absolutely working on improving this experience. That's why we said first we start with something to prove out if the concept has any merit at all, and then we use it. And each of us use these every day, and I see some of these challenges and I see some of these things and I go, why the hell? So it just all takes time to work on all of this. Spaceman asked about scanning receipts. Yeah, it's still planned. I want to work on that one next. To be clear, I want to work on that one next. And if these two above me would say, okay, we could work on it next week. But apparently it's a couple items down on the roadmap.
We got to get Rocket Booster. We got Crawler. We got, you know, we've been working on so much, as they had DET, Prism, Crawler, Rocket Booster, on top of all the other regular stuff.
Plus the new game stuff, plus plus everything else.
But no, that is big. That is something that we're going to.
Yeah, but I really want to work on this. I believe Jesse has certain products that he thinks are magical, and he may be right in the many-year long term about some of them. I think Magic Receipts, and what I'm so excited about Magic Receipts, let me just put this here for the community to know. The reason I'm so excited about it is one of the things we figured out is the stores that are most important for Magic Receipts are big box stores in the United States and Canada, places like Walmart and Best Buy and Target, and what stores do they have in Canada? Tim Hortons. Probably not Tim Hortons. But what we figured out is what's going to make people remember this, what's going to make people remember to do this, is if they get a super nice little notification when they leave Walmart that says, hey, we noticed you just left Walmart. Remember to scan your receipt to earn UPT. Well, there's two ways of doing that, the good way and the more challenging way. And the more challenging way is we just send all your geo data to a server, and then it looks really bad, and then people get worried about it, and are we following privacy rules and whatever. The good way is we send to your device the geo coordinates of every Walmart and every Target and every other eligible store in the United States, so that your device can know when you've left a Walmart, but we never have to know. It's your device that knows you left the Walmart, because we know where all the Walmarts are. And what's so awesome about Web3, and what's so awesome about like the power of the crowds and all this, that data is available now. We have it already. I already made this data set, and it works. I tested it out. I not going to say what particular chain of stores I used, but it was Starbucks. Every time I got near a Starbucks, it told me I was near a Starbucks, and I was on a diet and I wasn't allowed to have Starbucks, which made this particularly cruel and unusual. But it works. But our devices can be super useful and tell us, like, hey, you just left Walmart. We know you're in the parking lot at Walmart. We don't just know the outline of every Walmart in America. We know the outline of its parking lot. I can tell your device, I can write software for your device that tells when you entered the parking lot, entered the store, left the store, and you're back in the parking lot. And I can send a push notification, and I don't have to send a single piece of your personal geo data off of your device to do that.
This is so good. This is because of Web3. Is that you're saying? And
people will, well, not solely because of Web3, also because of some great certain projects, things like the OpenStreetMap project and many of its sub-projects that are collecting this data are sort of in an interesting space. They haven't really adopted crypto yet, but in almost every other way, they're very similar to Web3. And in fact, I think we see a huge number of geodata and geospatial applications in DePIN, which are going to continue improving that data. So these are a bunch of things that are really in the transition and on the cusp right now. Anyway, on top of that, the value of magic receipts is high, and which means they're great for the community, and the ease is super easy. You just left Walmart. You have the damn receipt in your hand. Just take a picture of it, earn your UPT, earn the UPT for the rest of us, for the whole community. And Drew, to answer your question, is it cheaper to do it the privacy preserving way or the way where we send it all to our servers? Well, I'll tell you what, it's cheaper to do it the privacy preserving way. You know why? Because I don't have to run a server to collect all your data. Now, in the long run, it may be more expensive because I don't have all your data to sell to some shady broker later. But in the short run, it's definitely cheaper because I don't have to pay for the server to do the processing on the server.
I'd say the only thing why we tend to deprioritize it, because we will add it, but we tend to deprioritize it because it's very US centric offer. So like the partner we with, and like a lot of our communities is from the US and Canada, but we also have a lot of community in Germany, in Nigeria, in India, in Asia, in Korea. And so it's like, it's going to be awesome for everyone here, but then, everywhere else, 60% or more, it's not going to even see anything, or it just won't make use for that. So that's like, this is the reason why, like, we might just might put it all lower on the list of things, even though it's still on the list. We're going to do it. It's just, if you think about that versus, hey, we have a lot of people, surveys work, but no one in Romania gets any surveys. So let's just figure, or no one in Nigeria is seeing any games. We know those work. So let's actually find other partners. That's what makes that prioritized,
So I agree with you, but the counter argument to that is the ticket value, the per receipt value, is quite high, and 40% of that revenue goes to raise the value, goes for buybacks for the whole community. So yes, it's true they're very US centric, and I agree with that. That is always one of the challenges when we rank that on the backlist. But the flip side is there's a lot of value there, and like it's US centric, but the US economy is big and people are paying for it. And I think the other thing is once we develop the tech right now this tech is fairly US centric, and is a fairly well-known reason why they want the receipts. But once we develop the tech, we will find somebody in Europe who wants receipts from,
That's true.
you know,
That's true.
Brico Store and Leroy Moreland and Dedeman and stuff like that. So just like with OR, part of it is delivering the specific product, but part of it is building the rails. And we'll find other partners who want to run on those rails.
Yeah.
And by the way, we forgot to mention,
yes,
we actually did hire a new mobile dev, that Rockstar Romania. She brought over someone from that she worked with in the past. So we're going to move a lot faster on all these things. So her name's Elena. So welcome. I forgot to mention that. That's like one great news for the UpRock team.
Yeah, very great.
Yeah.
Sasha did actually just point out, so we actually, the last week we started saying, let's do an hour and a half. And because of who we are as people, nothing is ever on time. Now we are actually over 30 minutes over our new hour and a half schedule. So we're actually, this went by fast. Sasha, thanks for bringing this up. But yeah, 2 hours we went into this. And there's still more that we can talk about, because I was going to say more about magic receipts, but I think maybe we should probably save that for next week.
I have beaten that horse to death.
I actually agree with you, Chris, now too. I mean, I've always agreed with you, but you know, it's like on the list. And Jesse, we're hitting his list item now. It's magic receipts turn.
The only thing we have to do before we work on that is we have to launch self-service billing for Prism. We have to get the remaining DATS tests out. We have to get the remaining crawler tests out. We have to do Rocket Booster, and we have to launch the new survey provider. So it's pretty much next.
New feature before this one, you know, like we're working through the list of everything we agreed through. I'm not saying that magic receipts is coming out right away. I just mean that
this is turning into an internal discussion. So,
well, this is what we do, like 6 hours a day. This is why we have to work so hard.
But you're right. We can't make.
Yeah, all right.
You guys didn't hear anything. All right, you just like block that out.
Magic what now? Magic.
I don't know. Never heard of it. Okay, let's wrap this up. I hear some kids in the background. I hear sirens in the background for me. I think it's time for dinner for some folks. Certainly time for breakfast for me. So anyway, let's wrap this up, guys. This was a great call. Great 2 hours. Let's try to keep it to 1 hour and a half next week, huh?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Roz. Awesome.
Yes. Let's give it up for Roz. Sir Roz in the chat.
Sir Roz.
Roz, come on. You should
decided to ask me to the 2 hour call. Should have asked me to the 30-minute call. Wait, does this work on all our devices, or?
I don't know.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
You guys just froze.
He lost the riz. Roz lost the riz.
All right,
guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so much for
See
joining us this week, guys. As usual, please hop onto Discord and give the Rocketeers some love. You see him in the chat. Here you go. Here's Sasha. Give them some love, and we will see you next week.
All right. Cheers,
see y'all. As always, thanks for spending your Thursday with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.